Okay, folks, welcome to Sunday Night Futures Live. And we have an explosive open here this evening based upon the potential of a trade deal between the U.S. and China. And I do repeat, the potential. We'll go over some press releases out of the U.S. and out of the U.K. to see uh, whether or not we really have trade deals here. I'm not utterly convinced that we do, and I frankly think that this is a sell the news moment. So we'll go over that. We'll also talk about the opportunities out there in the international markets. I'm just back from Europe the other day, and this is my second trip in the past couple of years over to Europe, and becoming more and more interested in. I talk a lot about emerging markets. Obviously, Europe is not an emerging market, it's a developed market, but I think that we need to add them into our emerging market play because they are a lot less expensive than what is the US market. So we're going to talk quite a bit about opportunities there. In particular, Ireland. One of the reasons is that I just came back from Ireland and the UK. So I do prefer Ireland, and I'll talk about that. Why? I'll talk about that in a moment. We'll talk about earnings, and we'll talk about valuations of the market. And how was earnings season? How has earnings season been relative to expectations? And I think that you're going to be a bit surprised, positively surprised. So let's begin with saying hello to folks and let the market settle down here. Hello, Mr. Pete. Welcome. Sean, welcome. Larry, welcome home, Bob. Where to next time, China? I always used to say as a kid, I haven't lived until I walked on the Great Wall of China. I'm not going to rule it out. RB, happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful moms. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Happy Mother's Day to all the lovely ladies out there. And speaking of lovely lady, we have Jody and RB. China confirmed it too. Okay. All right. Okay. So, and what RB was referring to, correct me if I'm wrong here, RB, was that there is a trade deal. The question is this a sell the news event? So we're opening up here. Let's get the futures out of the way. And we are opening up 1.5%. We were higher. We've drifted back a little bit, but this probably has legs. This is a 5-minute chart. Let's go to the E-minis. They're opening up 1.29%. We are off the highs of the session, but a bullish open. Taking a look at RTY, the Russell 2000 small caps, they rallied right up and into resistance at around, let's call it 2075. We rallied up to 2080. We've just been rejected at that level. Opening up, or last tick, I should say, is 1.65%. Checking in with the mid caps, they're holding these gains here up just shy of a percentage point, lagging in terms of percentage gains relative to the rest of the market. However, they're holding their gains. They're not being sold off. So this is pretty optimistic to me. Now, taking a look at the Dow. Oh, what's the Dow? Oh, I can't believe it's been over a week since I did this. Dow, God darn it. Dow. Dow. Oh, QM? Is it QM? Oh, where is the Dow? Dow. All right, I'm going to give it one last run through. Complete brain fart here. Uh, Here we go. YM. YM. This is the micro contract. The MYM, same price action, up over a percentage point. We're off the session highs, but across the board here, we have respectable price action. And I set up an alert, which I believe fired off on volatility. It did. I looked for a break to new lower lows relative to Friday. We have that. So we're still above a 20 handle on the front month contract of volatility. The dollar is gapping up here by over a quarter percentage point. My guess is gold, and the commodity space may be backing off. My guess is that gold would be backing off here. We don't know that for a fact. We'll check in. Yields moving up higher at 0.69%. I spoke about this with members over the weekend on the week ahead commentary that I was worried about an upward surge in yields. Guess what? We got it. I have the wrong backdrop on here. Let's see if I can change this. I'm going to fire my producer. There we go. There we go. That's better. Okay. All right. Let's check in with gold. We talked about it. Yeah. Gold down nearly 2% at the open here. Now, I mentioned again on the week ahead commentary with members that I was worried about a potential double top on gold, and it looks as though we may have it. Not quite sure yet. Way too early to make that call. We could see a bounce back, but a clear, defined pullback here on gold. Silver down about a half percentage point, but it looks as though we reversed off the lows here. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, if you take a look at this 15-minute chart, which is not closed yet, the first bar of this 15-minute candlestick, I'll tell you, if we close where we're at or better, we may see a move up higher on silver by tomorrow morning. That may be a buy signal. Remember, silver has not had the run of gold. So, and silver is used for industrial purposes, not just precious metals. Let's check in with copper. Copper, we've talked about this again. I'm sorry, with members about copper and its strength of late. I've questioned the global weakness story because when you take a look at Dr. Copper, it has been rallying. It took a pause these past couple of weeks, but we do have a higher low here. I'll tell you, if we begin to take out these prior highs on copper, this is a weekly chart. That's a signal that global demand is out there. And that's a sign of global GDP expansion, economic expansion. Going back to the 5-minute chart here, let's check in with crude prices. They should be moving up, and they are. On the week last week, we had a big move up on crude prices. Let's go to the weekly chart so I can illustrate. Take a look at this move here on crude. It broke out. Now, I think that we could still pull back, do a retest of this band in white. Let's call it around $59.36 to $60 per share on oil. Then I think that we reverse and we move up. Gold, energy stocks look good here. I think this is going to be a week to buy those stocks. So let's go to comments. There's a housing crisis in Ireland. All our hotels are getting turned into IPA as centers for refugees, and the temperature towards immigration is getting very hot. Um, I took the train from Kinsale up to Dublin, and I saw a tremendous amount of construction of housing. Now, I don't know much, to be honest with you, about the IPAS centers. I didn't see a lot of that. I saw a bit of it in London, but not so much in Ireland. That may be because it's just getting geared up, to be honest with you. So uh, I wish for the best for you. Believe me, I really do. So Ireland was outstanding. So was the UK. You would literally have to see it to believe it. Sorry to hear that. Hey, Paul, welcome. Franklin, welcome. Okay, Sean, Bob, with Ireland, look at how the EU and Ireland back tax Apple for 15 billion. Me personally, I wouldn't invest there. Just my 2 cents. Fair. I'm looking at more through the lens of valuation. To be honest with you, uh, when it comes down to innovation, let's face it, you're not going to see a tremendous amount of innovation out of the EU. You're just not going to get it. But they do have businesses there that are well run. Ryanair out of Ireland. I just flew them for the second time in the past couple of years. Great business, very good stock, and they do have some good businesses that are cheap. And I'm not just focusing in on Ireland per se. I like Ireland because the GDP growth is there, valuations are cheap, and you look across Dublin. I mean, they have cranes littering the sky, and they have an expanded tech sector there, mostly U.S. companies with a footprint in that country. So I didn't see much of it until I was leaving to go to the airport. And when I was taking Uber out of town, I was looking across the river, and you had HubSpot, a bunch of names there that have a big presence in Ireland because of the tax status. Has China ever honored it? Yeah, not the one that I know of. And I'll be honest with you, I took an Uber. This is why I don't want to own Tesla. I got to see whether or not I can find this car because I used Uber quite a bit. Yeah, this is it here. BYD. BYD. Copy. Let me see if I can get images up here. So the Uber came, and I'm walking up to the car, and I'm like, God darn, this is a good looking car. Interior, exterior. Jesus Christ, open up already. All right. Typical of the Chinese, they're goofing me here. All right. So here are these Chinese EVs. I mean, good looking car. When I got in, I was more struck by the car. The interior looked much like a Tesla. It was very, very nice. And I was talking to the Uber driver when I asked him what kind of car it was. because I had never seen the car before, and he told me about it. He said it was Chinese. He did price out the Tesla. The Tesla was 47,000 pounds. This was 27,000 pounds. How are you going to fight that? So Tesla's Tesla's got a problem. They have a big problem until they get their robotics business going, and that is not a net driver of earnings at this point in time. TZ, welcome. Thank you, sir. Great to be back. Really is. Nvidia and Amazon will be beneficiaries of this deal. Yes, I think that both will be, but probably Amazon the quickest due to the fact that, let's face it, there was a big question mark put over their head with the cheap goods that come out of China and get sold on Amazon. That Nvidia chip that's made designed specially for China, I don't think that was ever really a threat that hung on the stock all too much. To be fair, I haven't looked at Nvidia stock. I'm talking off the top of my head and going by the news. So because I've been looking at my phone and at night watching the charts, not doing much at all. EU hates innovations. Yeah, they. All right. So my takeaway from the EU, having been to France, Italy, Ireland, and England over the past couple of years, is that, yes, they do not like innovation. They love regulation. They love regulation. If it could be regulated, they want to regulate it. So unfortunately, that's going to be their Achilles heel. But I just see an opportunity right now with some of these countries to take advantage of them, and their charts are saying it's time, and it has been time. In terms of Poland, Poland has had a rip your face off year so far. Who thunk it? And it's not just, again, I'm not harping on Europe simply because I was just there. They're front and center on my mind. But Brazil, even though I don't like their president, he's a communist, their GDP growth rate is doing well. Their stocks are cheap. The charts are looking good, basing a long time. Some of these charts that I'm looking at out of Europe and the emerging markets, they're looking pretty darn good relative to the United States, and especially in terms of valuations. Big worries here that President Trump will take back the pharmaceutical manufacturers to the U.S. Only thing is that these companies have invested billions in infrastructure. So, couch to crypto, you're in Ireland, right? There's a lot of manufacturing of pharmaceuticals in Ireland. I don't know a tremendous amount about the pharmaceutical industry in Ireland. So please share that. Thanks for joining in on the conversation. Michael Anthony, there aren't a tremendous amount of domiciled Irish companies. The one that jumps off of the top of my head is Ryanair, right off the bat. It's a great airline, and I hate airlines. A great airline. They're like the taxi cab of Europe, and it's cheap. You know, you could fly from. Not in my case. I paid a good amount because I booked late, but you can get a flight from London to Cork at times like $50 a seat. It's crazy. Granted, they're going to charge you extra for luggage, but still, it's ridiculously cheap. Yeah, yeah. So that goes back to what I was saying before. You have a tremendous amount of. Let me see if I can bring it up. I queried Chat GPT the other day when I was coming home about the companies in. I don't want to waste too much time here on it, but I was floored with the number of companies that were actually there in Europe. But to couch to crypto's point, a lot of them are not U.S. Are not Irish companies. They're U.S. companies. Donegal. I may have mixed it up with one of my other queries. Today. You know what I could do? Bring up your answer. ChatGPT now remembers your prior queries. That's brand new, so I could ask them to bring it up. Bring up your answer to my question regarding tech sector U.S. stocks in Ireland. Let's see if I can get this to remember. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. So here you have the query. What the hell happened to it? What happened? Okay, here we go. So Apple, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, the tax incentives are the why. And this is not the complete list. There's a lot more companies there. HubSpot, um, a lot more companies. This is not exactly the query I wanted. Give me a list of U.S. companies with a big footprint in Ireland. It's a lot. Here, this is where I was. Cork, County Cork, in Kinsale, Google up in Dublin, Facebook, Meta, Microsoft up in Dublin, Amazon up in Dublin, Intel in Kildare, County Kildare, Pfizer, Johnson Johnson over in Limerick, Dell Technologies, IBM, Citigroup, Oracle, American Airlines. So what this tells us is that if you have these companies that are doing business over in Ireland, that means that they have the educated base of workers that are able to work for these companies, and that's as the Irish would say, that's a grand thing. So uh, it's a good base of talent that they have in Ireland. So I was impressed. Uh, while yes, I did take the trip as a quasi vacation, I did use it as work as well, just feeling out the opportunities, and I found them. So that's why we're talking about this tonight. So let's continue on, and I'll go to more data on the valuations and GDP growth for those companies in a moment. So oil looking really good here. The problem is that this is inflationary. The Federal Reserve says they back out food and energy. Nonsense. There's no way you back out energy out of your decision as to whether or not inflation is going to move up higher. You can't make a tire without oil. So you can't back out oils out, excuse me, you can't back the distillates, meaning if you could back out food and energy and look at the core, CPI, PPI, PCE, whatever you want to use as a metric for inflation. But if you're a tire producer, if you're Cooper Tire, if you're BF Goodrich, and you need oil to create a developer, manufacture a tire, guess what? The price of oil is going to show up in the price of a tire at the core level. So you can't ignore the price of oil. It's impossible. Natural gas. Natural gas. We're gapping down here, are we? But we're off the lows. I would have been surprised to see a bloodbath here on natural gas. I think that natural gas is probably going to move up higher, especially on any deal. I like it here. Nice consolidation. You have a Bollinger Band squeeze setting up on a 15-minute chart. It could fire off in either direction. We don't know yet. We're down below the 21-period EMA. Right now, it looks as though this could fire off down. However, if it breaks out above this resistance level, guess what? We're going a lot higher on natural gas. What else we want to take a look at? We bought palladium 2 weeks ago, and we've been doing pretty well with it. So let's go to an hourly chart. I'm really liking palladium here. Here's the weekly chart. Take a look at the weekly setup. I think that we're going to move up higher on palladium. We're probably going to be adding more this week. I have not done much with the exception of we booked half profits on LABU at our price target. I went on vacation for the most part, hedged on our Q position, long Q position. That way I was able to think about other things other than the markets. Let's take a look at what did we miss? Agriculture. We did not take a look at agriculture. Corn. Let's go to the weekly view. I have no idea what these names did last week. They broke down. Actually, past 2 weeks, I have no idea. I haven't been watching them. Soybeans, they're still holding up. This is looking pretty good. This looks like it's getting ready to break out. I'm going to want to take a look at SOYB. That's the soybean ETF. We'll check out seasonality on TrendSpider. What else do we have here? We didn't do wheat. Let's go over wheat. Wheat, wow, getting really beaten up here, nearing resistance. Okay, so a mixed bag on agriculture names. It's good to see that they're not pressing up higher. Let's check back in before we leave the futures action. We have VIX weak, 10-year strong. I want to check back in with that chart of 15-minute chart of what? Not natural gas. What were we looking at earlier? I forget. Let's check out NQ. Oh, I was thinking about silver. NQ at the 21-week moving average as we speak. As we speak. Let's check out the 15-minute chart of silver. Did we get our reversal bar? We did, but no follow through to the upside. Okay. Now, let's take a look at. So I want to make a. When I went over to. Is this it? Here it is. All right, so this here, folks, is Desmond Castle in Kinsale. So I am, and I made this my shtick, This is me at the doorway reclaiming my lands and titles to our properties over in Ireland. With all due respect to the Republic of Ireland, do not take this as a threat. Take it as satire, complete and utter satire. I don't want to be banned from the country. And what do we have here? Here's Desmond House, B&B. I have so many pictures. This is right down the road. A really, really good time. Kinsale, if you haven't been there, beautiful town. I was there when they had the rugby matches, the Lucky Sevens. That's the Kinsale team. Awesome time. Awesome time. Really good stuff. So if you haven't been there, go there. If you are not currently a part of our community, I would encourage you head on over. It's free. That's where you enter your chart requests. I want to do a refresh here, and I want to jot down the requests. VIV. OBE. Hey, Bonnie. OBE. BA. We own BA. We love BA. All right, not too many tonight. Okay, so obviously the reason why we're getting the gap up here is a U.S.-China strike trade deal after extensive talks in Switzerland as Trump officials touts resolving ongoing trade war. Okay, great. It was just mentioned. Glad to hear you had a great visit. And oh my God, I even when I landed in London, they always talk about how rainy it is in Ireland and in London and how cloudy it is. There wasn't one day where it wasn't bright and sunny. I did not feel a single drop of rain for the entire time I was there. And everybody I spoke to said it's unheard of. It was unheard of the type of weather that we had. So yeah, we were really, really lucked out. Again, great time, great people. So yeah, it was great weather. So here's what got me a little bit concerned about the accuracy of this so-called announcement. The White House announced that there were productive talks in Switzerland. Productive talks. I want to see an agreement. I want to see. I want to see details. I want to see details. Until then, it's just conversation. Each side wants to look good in front of their mutual media. So while I'm optimistic, I'm also cautiously optimistic. Simple as that. And to me, when I look at the equity markets nearing very stiff overhead supply, I say to myself, you know what? Maybe it's time to book some profits on our longs and start looking for a retracement, because we did hit a significant Fibonacci retracement level last week. I went over that with members on the week ahead commentary. Members, if you haven't looked at it, I went over it. Okay, so great news here. Not great news. Good news here. I want to see more. Very skeptical that this is in the rearview mirror. It just seems too quick, too much. Sorry, I can't buy into it just yet. Let's talk about economic data coming out this week. Question for Couch to Crypto. What part of Ireland are you from? Are you in the north, mid area? Where are you from? Because I have a question for you, and I found it fascinating because I did a lot of polling when I was over there about stout beers. All right, economic data coming out this week. We have nothing really on Monday. God forbid we cared about the budget. Nobody cares about the budget because we don't have a budget. We have continuing resolutions. Tuesday, NFIB optimism index that could impact small cap stocks, Midlands. So that's around the Dublin area, on the longitude of Dublin. Is that fair? CPI. So we have an inflation week coming up. CPI, that's a consumer price index. That's coming out this week. We have a bunch of Fed heads coming out to spin CPI and whatever data that comes out. Thursday, initial jobless claims. We get that every week. Retail sales, big number. Then we get the producer price index, important number. That's inflation at the producer level. Empire Manufacturing Survey. We get Jay Powell coming out this week again. Okay, that's what I kind of figured. All right, so is it Guinness or is it Murphy's for you? I'll go silent there. Friday, import price index. That's important. We import a lot, right? So that, to me, uh, with the tariffs, this should get impacted. We've had tariffs placed upon our goods, so we've had to pay more. They're expecting a negative read. We'll see what happens there. That should be an interesting number. Housing starts. So a busy week in terms of economic data. In terms of earnings, we slow up here quite a bit this week. You have a lot of small caps, mid caps coming out. Chinese stocks, Under Armour coming out. What else we got? What's important here? Not much. Not much. Cisco comes out. We get JD.com coming out Tuesday before the bell. Then we get Alibaba. We have Walmart coming out this week. John Deere on Thursday before the bell as well. AMAT after the close on Thursday. And on Friday, not much to talk about. Okay. All right. So I knew it. I knew it. Yeah. So it's so funny. You just put the funny side. So there's a stout. All right. So when you go up to when you're in Kinsale, Cork, for the most part, people they drink Guinness. They drink Guinness everywhere. But Murphy's is the preferred stout down in Cork. It's made there. But then when you go up to Dublin in that area, it's nothing but Guinness. You hardly see Murphy's up there, whereas Murphy's is in every bar along with Guinness in the South. It's so funny. And the pouring of a beer is like a religion in Ireland. I mean, it's not just the beer; it's the stout in particular, and making sure that you have clean lines. You have Guinness that comes out, and they maintain quality control checks on the pubs. It's really insane. And if you're drinking a Guinness, you get the Guinness glass. If you're drinking a Murphy's, you get a Murphy's glass. It's a as the Italians take so seriously their food, the Irish take very, very seriously their stouts. It's funny, but it's not funny. It's a very serious business. But I found it really, really, it's charming, to be honest with you. It's charming. All right. So back to business here. Earnings this season, and I found this, I don't want to be negative. Okay. I want to be positive when we should be positive. SPX is reporting year-over-year earnings growth of 13.4% for Q1. Now, that's earnings growth, which is above the estimate of 7.1%. Again, that's earnings growth. What they do is they lower expectation for the beat, right? And that keeps the game going. It keeps you excited. It keeps CNBC saying, oh, look at how they beat expectations. What they don't talk about when the company reports earnings is that they already lowered their expectations, or the analyst community has lowered their expectations. That they don't want to talk about after the earnings release. We're going to talk about it here. That's what we do. Now, this one here had me a little bit more interested because it's very hard to influence revenues. You can play games with EPS, but revenues, that's a different game. So SPX is reporting year-over-year revenue growth of 4.8% for Q1, which is above the estimate of 4.3%. That's a pretty big beat. That's good stuff. So that's a bit of positive news on the earnings front for this current quarter. And I think it's one of the reasons why on the Powell news, the Federal Reserve news the other day, we didn't get a sell-off. We saw stocks hold their gains. They were hoping for a deal with China. And I think that the earnings announcements, they helped quite a bit. Again, more good news. 62% of S&P 500 companies have beaten revenue estimates to date for Q1, which is below the 5-year average of 69% and below the 10-year. I'm sorry, I apologize. This is actually negative news. I misread this. 62% of the S&P 500 companies have beaten revenue estimates for Q1 below the 5-year percent. So this is not good news. This is actually negative news. I was hoping it would be good news. It is not. My apologies for misleading people unintentionally. So we're not beating on revenue as good as we have been in the past couple of years. And even though we saw EPS growth come in better than expected, guess what? We are still very, very expensive relative to historical points in time. So, were we to drop down into the 20s on the Shiller PE ratio on the heels of a pullback in the equity markets off the highs and a positive earnings season, I would be far more optimistic about the U.S. markets. I can't be. Not with valuations this high. And when you take a look at what's the catalyst to send the U.S. markets up higher, it's not the Federal Reserve. This has probably gotten worse since the news was announced today about the trade wars. Let's see. What are the probabilities for an ease in June? Unchanged since the other day. 17.3%. Pretty much no chance of a rate cut in June. That was about 70 to 80% before I left on my trip. July. This yesterday was at 60%. Now it's down to 59.2% probability of a cut. Before I left for Europe, this was at 90% probability of a cut in July. The best we can hope for at this time, because right now, given the distance in time between now and the July meeting, 59% to me is a coin flip. It's horrible odds. The best that we can hope for is September at this point in time as being a go for a rate cut. And I honestly don't think that Fed Chair Powell is going to do a darn thing unless he has to. So keep an eye on the jobless claims. Keep an eye on jobs. That's what's going to be the cattle prod that strikes him, and he's not going to be able to push back against the rise in jobless claims. That's so funny. That's so funny you said this. I took a photo of, I don't know whether I could bring it up on my phone and show it. Let's see here. I sent it to my father earlier. Yeah, here it is. Let me see if I can blow it up. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. So, you're not going to be able to see this. In the red there, that's County Cork in the lower part of Ireland, and in white is the rest of Ireland. And in red, it says Cork. In white, it says everything else. So from couch to crypto is exactly right. Cork is it's its own entity. It's so funny. It's a small country, but it's amazing how you go from county to county, and they have their own idiosyncrasies. And it's very, very charming. Okay, so we don't have a Fed put here whatsoever. So we need to take a look at opportunities. And you know what I like to do is I like to do ratio charts. And this ratio chart, let's get rid of this. We don't need this. We don't need this. Let's just keep it really clean. Okay, in white is this doesn't look right. Why does this not look right? This does not look right. Compare function, SPY. Yeah, I'm not sure why this is not showing it the way I'd like it to, but I don't want to waste your time. Let's get the compare feature back up there. Line, dedicated axis. I must be doing something wrong here. I think I'm using a logarithmic chart. Let me make sure I am. Linear. All right, log is on. Okay, so this is in white we have the S&P 500. I don't know why this is not showing what I wanted to on a monthly chart, but we use the weekly chart. It'll illustrate my point, is that you have, this is EPOL. EPOL is the Polish ETF. So Poland is vastly outperforming U.S. equities. So in candlestick, you have the Polish ETF, and the S&P 500 is in white. Clearly, Poland is outperforming the S&P 500. So would I buy Poland right now? Probably not, because what have we done? We've kind of run here quite a bit. And I would want to see a retracement. This is still probably going to go up higher. I would want to see a retracement. So the however here is that here's the United States. So what we have here is the ETF symbol. If you guys want to do a print screen, look at this later on. So be it. Region, these are individual countries. Year-to-date gain, 2025 year-to-date gain. The PE ratio, rear view mirror looking. And we have 2024 GDP growth. So we have this is not Schiller. This is using a different metric. Schiller is up in the 30s. This is a different metric. So we have the United States trading at whatever the rearview mirror metric they're using here, 24.3% on GDP growth, at best 1.7%. Think about that. We have the most expensive stock market in the world with a GDP growth rate of 1.7%. Now, you take a look at Ireland. Ireland has a year-to-date gain outperforming the United States by about just over 3%, 3.5% or so. The PE multiple there is about 11.5%. So at a greater than 50% discount to U.S. equities on GDP growth of 4%. Think about it. So do I want to be in U.S. equities? I'm going to always be in U.S. equities, but do I want to diversify out of the United States and into less expensive countries with a higher GDP growth rate? And here, Economic growth rates, countries like China and Ireland are projected to have robust GDP growth rates of 4.8% and 4% respectively, indicating strong economic momentum. So let's bring up EIRL relative to the S&P 500, and you could see that Ireland is outperforming the S&P 500. Let's go to the monthly chart. Still doesn't look right. Here, I'm going to do this. I'm not liking the way this is looking. Let's go to EIRL. As a matter of fact, let's go to EPOL first, relative to SPY. We'll go to a monthly time frame. And you can see relative to the S&P 500, Poland vastly outperforming the S&P 500. In fact, so much so, I would want to take a crayon out and do this. Look at this breakout. How do we ignore this level of outperformance? How do we ignore it? I don't think we can. EIRL. Not dramatically outperforming the S&P 500, but outperforming nonetheless. And if you take a look at this chart, this is pissing me off. And if you're looking for an early stage setup here, and this is what I love to do. Love to do it. Here's your trading range. We bounced off the lower band. If we do begin to break out and above this resistance level here relative to the S&P 500, it's game on. It's game on. And remember, the EU, the reason why their stock market is going up so fast right now is because they need to build out a military. They don't have, or they're losing the support of the United States. We're pulling back, and it's becoming incumbent upon the EU nations now to provide for their own military. So their military defense contractors are booming over there. So we'll save this, and let's just take a look at a chart of EIRL. No compare feature. Let's take that off. And this is actually close, to be honest with you. Let's take a look at this. EIRL monthly chart. Let's take log off. So you could see with the automated trend lines on TrendSpider, we hit the upper band of resistance. We backed off. I don't think we're coming down here. I think that we have put in a higher low. Am I a buyer here? Not quite yet. Let's go to the weekly chart. Here's what I would do with Ireland, EIRL, is here's your downtrend channel. We broke out above it the week of April the 28th. I want to see a retracement back down to, let's call it $60 a share on EIRL, and I'm a buyer. And we'll keep this active for a little over a month. So there's our support level. We're looking for this to get hit. I wouldn't chase it. No matter how optimistic I'm sounding, I would not chase this ETF. I wouldn't chase any stock. Let's go to a daily view. Yeah, you had a reversal day on Friday. Don't use a market order here, folks. You can tell that these shares are thinly traded. Use limit orders only if you're going to go in there. I also want to take a look at Brazil, because remember, Brazil, EWZ, it's up 17.3%. The PE multiple there is 8.9. Their GDP growth is better than 1% better than ours, but we're trading in a fraction of the multiples of the United States. So let's bring up EWZ. You could trade BRZU, but that's a leveraged product. And beautiful. What's not to like here? We're in a multi-year trading range on EWZ. We just bounced and actually recaptured the lower band of that trading range. So I think that we're coming up here to 35.42. I'm a buyer. Let's bring up BRZU. I'd probably go with BRZU. Let's bring up the trend lines. These are the automated trend lines on TrendSpider, folks. If you want automated technical analysis, multi-time frame charting, use the link below on YouTube, link above on Twitter. Get a bare minimum of a 35% discount using my link and discount code CON35. CON35. So nice bounce here off of historical support. I think that we're rallying up to 65.48. It's good for a swing trade. I would not be a buyer into that resistance level. If you're looking for a great opportunity to be an investor in BRZU, I would only nibble here, scratch the itch, get it out of the way. Then I would be an aggressive buyer on a close above $66 a share. Okay. Now, FXI is another option. The problem with China is that it's China. And I have a problem with owning Chinese stocks. Nothing against the people. It's just their government is just not good. Their accounting is terrible. And God forbid, they have a lot of ADRs that trade here in the United States. And if there's ever a conflict with China, those ADRs go to zero overnight. So all of your major funds, your EEM, they have 30% China exposure. So just be aware. EMXC, that's a non-China exposure ETF. I like that quite a bit. We own it. I want to buy more. But FXC is looking okay here. We've rallied off the lows. Now, here's the difference as well between Europe, the UK. When I was in the UK 2 weeks ago, they had just cut rates. China has already cut rates quite a bit and will continue to cut rates. The EU, I believe their last rate cut was back in March, but these regions are in rate cut mode. The United States is not. Yields are going up. Desmond Castle is on Google Maps. Absolutely. And my family wants some royalties for that. We want reparations. So, well, I plead with the Republic of Ireland to hear my case, please. The Chinese government lies better than the rest of the world's government. Yeah, they do, but I think there's an apathy towards holding the Chinese accountable for proper accounting. Uh, if you punch a bully in the nose, or at least you hold them accountable, they're less apt to do bad things. And let's face it, we have only emboldened the Chinese to do what they're doing right now. Uh, it's you could blame them, but we're not without blame ourselves. So I'm not going to throw all the blame at the Chinese. Just going back to TZ Burton here, when I checked into our hotel in Kinsale, the lovely young lady who checked us in, her name is Michelle, gorgeous little Irish girl, beautiful, and I said, "Hey, Michelle, um, do you know how close we are to Desmond Castle?" And she looked at me as if I had three heads, because she knew my name was Desmond. And she's like, this guy's out of his mind. She had never heard of Desmond Castle. So I I had to look on Google Maps, because I figured I must have checked into the wrong town. And sure enough, it said it was 900 feet away. And it's tucked up into some side streets. She's young. She doesn't know. So it's like me living in New York. It took me until I was 40 to get to the Statue of Liberty. So I don't blame her. All right. So that's FXI. It's looking good. It's driving up higher. It'll be up overnight as well. Not my favorite. What else do we want to take a look at? I wanted to talk about, we did EPOL, we did FXI, BRZU, we did. We need to do chart requests, but first I want to do soybeans, because soybeans were looking good on the weekly chart. They're looking really good here. This is a nice base. Let's go to seasonality. May is a pretty good time to buy soybeans, because June is the best month out of the year for soybean prices. Let's bring up the weekly chart. This coming week is a rough week for soybeans, but the next several weeks thereafter are looking pretty good. So soybeans may be setting up for a trade. SOYB, the symbol. Members, more to come on that. Let's talk about VIV. Telefonica Brazil weekly chart. We broke out last week. I like Brazil. I like it. I like the chart. I think that we're going to pull back and do a retest this coming week of around, give or take a dime. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm keeping a little bit of sensitivity on here. Not that much. There we go. 960, 970, 950. Touch that price, I'm happy. I want to bring up stochastics and volume. Volume drifted off last week, so just beware of that. We broke out on light volume. Stochastics are strong. A little bit overbought. Let's go to seasonality. There's a lot of data here, but it's really not many months at all stand out as being really great months to be an owner. You definitely don't want to own it in November. Sell calls in October. Uh, Here's something interesting on a weekly time frame, VIV. The next over 19 years, for the next several weeks, we have strong upward pressure on the share price. So it rises sequentially. So it's just the odds of making money to the bull side improve week after week for the next several weeks based upon seasonality only. Let's take a look at OBE. Obsidian Energy. Energy had a really good week last week. I'm going to come back to this chart. I want to illustrate how good Energy did last week. It recaptured support. We're probably going to get a retest of about $80 a share this week. Let's go back to OBE. OBE, nice bullish key reversal bar on the week last week. And it broke out. Watch for, again, a pullback here, a retest, a validation of this breakout being for real. I think it is. The group is looking good. The stock is looking good. I like it. I think it goes up higher. Daily view. Keep in mind, I didn't write down the name of the person who requested this. OBE rallied up and into resistance on Friday. This is the automated trend line, folks. I never looked at the stock in my life. I did not draw these. We rallied up and into resistance. Watch for retracement this week. Good volume Thursday and Friday. I remember when most clothing tags said made in USA wasn't so expensive as people think. True. I do too. Bob, which sectors, Michael, which is the best sectors that should work? I think that if you're going to invest in Europe, you need to be in the defense contractors. I think that's a multi-year build out. Here in the United States, if the equity markets go south, I think that you need to look at staples. If you're going to own stocks, I think that big Dow names are going to do well, such as Boeing. We own Boeing. We've owned it for a while now. If we do have a good trade deal, I think you need to take a look at the Dow transports, because if this so-called trade deal is what the president wanted, that means manufacturing is coming back to a certain extent to the United States. If that happens, then you're going to need transportation. Transportation stocks should rally. If they don't rally, that means it wasn't such a great deal. So watch the markets. The markets are going to tell you if this is a good deal, a great deal, or no real deal whatsoever. It's just more of what we've gotten in the past. You're welcome, Franklin. Everyone enjoy the evening. Same to you, my friend. Have a profitable one. All right, what else? Let's leave it off with Boeing. You're welcome, Jody. Anytime. I love that. Let's leave it off with Boeing. All right, so again, full disclosure, we own Boeing. We have owned Boeing for a while. It's our largest position, and it's going up higher. We rallied through stiff resistance last week at around the 190 mark. I use 190 to 192. We closed at nearly 195 last week. Now, if you overlay the trend lines, you have major resistance up at around 217, 216. It got an upgrade from a price target change from 207 to 227. Uh, I'm going to remain long here. I think that this is a longer term play, and it's if there's a trade deal on the table, Boeing is a part of that trade deal because the ripple effect of Boeing doing well throughout the entire U.S. economy can only be understated. So Boeing needs to be a part of any conversation of a big trade deal. That's why I'm long of it. That's why I was buying it when nobody else wanted it. Let's go to a daily chart. Great price action last week. Don't be shocked if we retrace back down to 190 again to retest that very, very sensitive support level now on Boeing. If it holds it next week, I'd be a buyer. We are very overbought here on daily Stokes. So again, don't be surprised to get a pullback here. But longer term, I think that this is an investment. Here is the macro view of Boeing. Boeing, multi-year consolidation. Now it's breaking out. You don't want to go for the short-term gain here. Right? You don't want to book profit simply because the daily Stokes is saying, I'm overbought. All right, sell calls. Okay, if you're antsy and you want to do something, just sell calls because you'll make a little bit of money now, but I think longer term, you're going to be missing out on a lot of upside gains here. Here's a stock that was trading up at around 450. They now have new management, and I think that the share price is going up a lot higher in the coming years. This is a long-term play, folks. So I'm doing a Warren Buffett on this one and staying long of it for a long time. Couch to Crypto, thanks for being here, my friend. Thank you. And a shout out to our friends over in the UK and especially in Ireland. Thanks for being excellent hosts. And for those folks over at Arthur's in Dublin, we had a great time there. Aoife, hello to you. I doubt you're watching, but anybody that knows Aoife over at the Arthur's Pub, great place. Try the pork belly. Awesome. It's on the appetizer list, or as they call it, bites. So great time there, great host, great countries. And everybody have a profitable trading week. I'll talk to you soon. Don't forget about TrendSpider. Use the link below on YouTube, link above on Twitter. Bare minimum 35% discount code. I usually give it away free to our silver and gold level members. I'm not taking new members right now until we get the website revamped. More to come on that in the coming weeks. Talk to you soon. Have a great night. Happy Mother's Day. Be well. You're welcome, Talon. You're welcome, TZ.